Hi guys, Doc Recon here, and I want to talk to you today about a little known mechanic that exists in Tarkov that's probably the reason that you're missing some of your longer shots in the game. This mechanic is called Minute of Angle, and it's something that long-range professional shooters are usually extremely familiar with, and it's something that they use to try and get the most out of their firearms. Your typical long-range shooter is going to want to shoot a sub-MOA gun. If you're doing this in Tarkov and you're trying to get your Shooter Born in Heaven quest done, where you have to get those headshots at a long range, and you've ever put the crosshair right on the target's head and the target's standing still, and you set your range right after using your fancy rangefinder, and then you pull the trigger, somehow the scav walks away or the player walks away, and you don't get the shot and you don't take them down, this is probably the reason why. And it's something that you should check on your guns inside the game. And there's ways to improve MOA and there's ways to hurt your MOA. So we're going to go over this in about 5 minutes or less, just give you a quick crash course, and maybe it's something that you'll pay attention to. So if it helps you out, please be sure to like the video, comment down below and let me know that I helped out. And if you're up for it, subscribe. Anyway, let's hop straight into it and show you what I'm talking about. All right, everyone. So let's have a look first and foremost to kind of explain what MOA is. Now, this is just kind of a crappy snip here, but this kind of gives us a breakdown. So I always tell people, when you think of MOA, think of a cone that originates from the muzzle of your gun, okay? And that cone obviously is going to get larger as it goes out further a distance. Now, a 1 MOA gun is going to have 1 inch of spread at 100 yards, all right? We're using the standard system here, not metric, but 1 inch of spread at 100 yards. Now, this gets bigger the further out you go. So obviously at 200 yards, you're going to have 2 inches of spread, 300 yards, 3 inches of spread, and it's proportional from there on out. So as far out as you go, 1,000 yards, now you're at 10 inches. Okay, now that's assuming a 1 MOA gun. What if you have a 2 MOA gun? Well, now it's 2 inches at 100 yards, 4 inches at 200, 6 inches at 300, so on and so forth. What if you're carrying a submachine gun and it has a 7 MOA? Now it's 7, 14, 21, 28, so on and so forth. All right. So just as a basis of knowledge, just think of this chart right here and how it's showing you that. And then we're going to hop into the game here real quick and I'll show you how to find the MOA of your gun, how you can change the MOA of your gun, and what factors are going to affect MOA and why it matters to you. Here we go. Okay. So here we are in game, and let's first off figure out where we find what our MOA of our rifle is. There are a number of factors that affect MOA in this game. I'm going to touch on 3 of the biggest ones. They are going to be your barrel length, your repair of your weapon, as well as muzzle devices. Okay. Now there's some buttstocks and things like that that also affect accuracy, but those are the 3 biggest ones that are really going to make a difference for you. So let's take, for example, this AK-74, which has been used and abused and damaged a little bit, versus this brand new one here. So let's put them side by side and let's have a look. Okay. And I want to make sure you can see this here. Okay. So in order to find your MOA, you're just going to double click on your rifle and it's going to bring up this information sheet. Okay. It's going to show your durability, ergonomics, and this number right here, accuracy. This is your MOA. 2.37 for this rifle that's been damaged, shot a few times, brought back on insurance, and is built out the way that it is. Okay, now I have, a stock on here that affects my recoil and my ergonomics. I've got, a hand grip that does ergonomics. I just built it out to be red and look kind of cool. Now, my muzzle device does not affect my accuracy for this muzzle device. Okay, however, let's just take a look at the base model. This one is 2.37 because it's been damaged. This one is 1.99 because it's brand new. Repair quality matters, okay? Now, let's say I went into here and I then chose to change it up. I don't know offhand which ones make a difference for accuracy, but let's try this muzzle device. Nope, no change. Doesn't look like the AK ones make. Oh, here we go, TGPA. Accuracy 2.37 goes to 2.39. It's not a big difference, but it is a difference nonetheless. PBS4 back down to 2.37, doesn't really affect it. AK-74 2.39. So those are minor things. Okay, when it comes to muzzle devices. However, barrel length does make a difference, okay? So let's use for this an M4. This M4 is at 97.1% repair, and it currently is sitting at a 1.87 MOA. Let's hop into edit preset here. Let's go ahead and take the muzzle device off. It's going to still keep us at 1.87. I'm going to remove the handguard so I can try all the different barrels on it. And here's what we're going to see. 1.87 with the standard length barrel, okay? That 370 millimeter, that's what your M4s come with. Let's try the 260. Okay, I'm going to move this up here so it's more visible. So let's go to the 260. The 260 is going to increase our MOA. It's now 2.47. That means we are now less accurate. The lower the number on MOA, the better off we are. Okay, let's go back here, back to our frame of reference, 1.87. Now this one's a little weird. The 406 millimeter, and I don't know what it is, if they're just saying, hey, it's crappy Russian build quality, or if maybe there's something where this barrel isn't rifled, or I don't know what it is, but this is the outlier in this kind of equation where the longer barrel is actually less accurate, okay? But let's drop on the 406. We go from 1.87 to 2.26. That's almost as bad as just running the short barrel, okay? Back to our frame of reference, 1.87. Let's try the 18-inch. Here we went down to 1.45 MOA. And then even more accurate when we go with the 20-inch barrel, 1.13 MOA. And we can tweak it a little bit, and we can add on some of these muzzle brakes that actually make a difference. I'm trying to remember which ones they are. I think it's this one. So we got 1.13 and it drops down to 1.08. So that Vendetta actually does have an accuracy modifier on it. So does the Claymore. Phantom does not. Anyway, you can play around with this. I know this R43 or doesn't, it does like damage to your MOA basically. But this is something that you can play around with, okay? And you can work those different pieces to your advantage. I don't know offhand of any stocks that have an accuracy modifier, but it's very possible that there's one or two out there that do, that'll help out with that. So something to be aware of, okay? Now, why do I bring this up? Why is MOA important? Well, as we all know, there is a quest, and it is an absolute bear of a quest to do. And it's Shooter Born in Heaven. So a lot of times back in the day, if you were playing Tarkov a long time ago, you had to use a bolt action rifle to complete that quest. And it was an even bigger pain in the ass then than it is now. Well, the good news is that it's a lot less of a pain in the ass, okay? You can use a fully automatic rifle now, but what you're gonna wanna do is accurize that rifle, utilizing things that you would actually do if you were an actual gunsmith, installing a longer barrel, stuff like that. So MOA in the long term, what you're gonna be thinking about is that cone that I showed you in the clip before, you know, we kind of got into this. You're gonna think about that cone, okay? And you're gonna think about your target's head. If you have to hit it at 150 meters, well, obviously utilizing something like, let's pick a gun here, a submachine gun, okay? We got an MP7. It has an 8.34 MOA, okay? That means that, I don't know how big the average head is, okay? I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say that if I took my wiener out and I put it against my head, if it was 4 wieners across, that would be an 8-inch head, okay? So, that's something that you want to kind of be aware of. If your MOA is 8.34 inches and you're shooting at 150 yards, that means that that bullet, even if you're dead on the target, is going to land somewhere in about a 12-inch circle. That means you could be dead on with your dope set perfectly and you could still miss just because of the inherent inaccuracy within that cone. So we use a weapon like an SV98. Or even an SR25 with a 1.5 MOA, okay? And we could accurize this rifle further as well. But let's take a look here. We got a 0.56 MOA on this bolt gun. This is why long-range shooters use, you know, typically bolt guns. They're inherently a little bit more accurate just because of their design. Less moving parts, less things go wrong, more accuracy. Anyway, this one right here at 200 yards, which is generally around where you'd be shooting for that Shooter Born in Heaven quest, it would only have a spread. It's 0.56 at 100 yards. This one would have a 1.12, I think, quick math, spread at 200 yards, which means you're going to be a lot more accurate. That means that when that dot is on my head, it's going to land in a circle that's like this, okay? It's going to land in about a 1.12 inch circle, however big that is. It's going to land within that. Whereas that MP7, I don't know why you would ever use this for Shooter Born in Heaven, but just for sake of argument, with an 8.34 MOA, you know, you're talking this, now at 200 yards, it's going to land somewhere here, okay? So just be aware of this as you're building out your guns, as you're going through and doing some of these quests. If you've ever had that moment where you're like, golly, I put this crosshair right on him, I ranged him, I fired the rifle, and I just missed. Well, that's why, because your MOA was no good. All right, so repair your guns, because it does make a difference, okay? Repairing your weapons does make a difference. It's not a huge difference. It's kind of like well, it can be a huge difference. Let me digress, because if this was at 30 repair right now, and I repaired it up at 30 repair, this thing might be a 5 MOA gun, but then I repair it and it goes back to being, you know, a sub MOA gun. So just depending, if you pick up a gun off of a scav that's been worn out, or if you've been wearing out your gun, if you're just one of those people who lives long enough to actually have a gun that gets worn out, or you just keep getting it back on insurance somehow because you're just lucky, then be sure to repair. So just something to think about. And I hope that this video helped you and maybe gave you a little bit of insight into how MOA works in Tarkov and just how it works in general. If this is a mechanic that you're unaware about, drop a comment, let me know down in the comments below. If this is something that you did know about, but maybe just didn't fully understand the implications of it or how it actually works, let me know as well. If it helped you out, drop me a like in any way, shape, or form. I would greatly appreciate it. And if I suck, feel free to tell me that in the comments as well. I am certain that I've been called worse by better. So anyway, hope this helped you out, guys. Have a great day, and let me know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future, if this is the type of thing that interests you. And I could really go down a rabbit hole with stuff like this if we want to, but just let me know. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. For now, Doc Recon out.